Welcome back to the No Notes Podcast. I'm JD.
And I'm Morgan.
And today we are doing a classic No Notes. We have some notes. We do have notes this time. Diving deep into Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Ooh.
Yes. I know this was one of the movies I was most looking forward to this year, probably second most right underneath Dune Part 2.
Of course.
I don't know how much you were really anticipating this one.
I did a little research before. I started to anticipate it through my research, but before that, not so much.
We'll dive into all of that here in just a second. But first, if you are watching this, please like this video. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Follow us if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. Please show your support because it really helps us out. We appreciate it, and I know if you like what we're doing, I want to see more. Show some support. It would make us smile.
Yes.
Just
always.
like Furiosa made me smile. In the same fashion. So, firstly, Morgan, I'm curious, did you have any sort of relationship to the Mad Max movies before we wanted to do a Furiosa episode?
Not at all, other than you talking about Fury Road and wanting me to watch it. Honestly, I don't think I had any really friends that were into Fury Road very much, and that's why I was just never really interested. It just looked like boy movie, lots of action, not my vibe. No idea what it was even about. Just have seen the trailer and maybe a few memes from it, but and then you being excited about it.
I know for me,
it's also way older than I thought. I thought it came out 2 years ago.
Fury Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've never seen any of the other Mad Max movies. I've only seen Fury Road. And it came out 9 years ago, and I don't think I saw it for the first time until maybe 2020 or 2021.
Oh, wow.
I bought it on DVD because it was on sale, and I was like, I've heard that this is a really good movie, so let's check it out. And I watched it, and I was like, not only is this a really good movie, it's the coolest movie ever made, which you've heard me say before.
Yes, yeah.
And it is so sick, though. And so Fury Road is a movie that I've constantly gone back to since watching it for the first time, because I just fell in love with how cool everything was in the movie.
Yeah.
And then I think for the first time I watched it, my brain was just taken over by just that's the sickest thing ever. How did they even catch this on film? I thought,
yeah.
I was stuntmen surely died making this movie, right? This is
Somebody
impossible.
died.
Somebody had to have, right? It gets crazy. And then you research the production and you learn that Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, the leads of Fury Road, hated each other the entire time. And it's how did anything go right in this movie? And then it's this really beautiful, deep, emotional journey that also has the most genuinely some of the most creative set pieces. It is so epic. It is storytelling through action better than any movie I think I've seen. It's become one of my favorite movies. I think it's one of the best movies of the 21st century so far. Probably top 10 or 15 of the 2000s.
Yeah.
I have so much affection for this movie. And so when they were okay, we're going to make a prequel about the character of Furiosa from Fury Road, I was like sign me up, I'm there.
Yeah.
Even though I still have no other relationship to any of the rest of the Mad Max movies. I know that Fury Road and Furiosa hold a really special place to a lot of people. I think I might have told this story in the podcast before, but it's one of my favorites. I have a friend named Chloe, shout out Chloe, who worked as an intern basically at a private school for a year. And she had two fellow interns, I remember she was telling me, and they were both men, dudes. And at the time they were working, the target audience of these movies, yeah. At the time they were working at this private school together, the trailer for Mad Max Fury Road came out. And she told me that literally every morning, her two male coworkers would watch the Fury Road trailer to start with their morning coffee every morning.
What a start!
And they would be like, "Chloe, do you want to we're watching the Fury Road trailer?" She's like, "Again?" Literally every day for months they did this,
That's
and
incredible.
I think that
adorable
speaks to the power of Fury Road. And now you watched Fury Road,
I did.
right?
I watched it with Jared, who was in our sports movie podcast, and Jacob, my husband, and it was so much fun. Jared loves it, so like watching it with him and him like being hype about it, and he was giving us all the like behind the scenes, like, oh, this isn't CG, and they hated each other, so
Yeah.
it was really, really fun. I was expecting to have a fun time, but that was it. I also bawled my eyes out, like, it was so much more than I was expecting, so much more than even like because everyone's just like, oh, it's so cool, and I'm like, yeah, like a lot of movies are cool, but this movie is cool, and just like the world is so amazing, and the characters were great, and like there were just like moments, I feel like, in the movie. There's like, I feel like a lot of movies, you know, you just like go through and it's like all pretty good, and then there's movies where it's like building, and then there's like one moment and then it's building, and that was like this movie felt like there were like separate scenes that just like built so well. I really loved Fury Road, way more than I ever expected to. I finished it and was like, should I watch it again? Like, should I watch this a second time?
It's that good.
It is.
And
it
so
really is.
I think it's a pretty common argument. I've heard like a lot of people consider Fury Road to be one of the best movies of the 2010s. Like general critical consensus is that like this is an exceptional action movie, but it's also an exceptional movie with great characters, like phenomenal storytelling, beautiful. Like the cinematography's insane. So how like it looks so real. There's little CGI. The sets they constructed are so intense and detailed. And so when you have a movie like Fury Road that is, it's cool and it's awesome, but it's also emotional and like so viscerally satisfying and emotionally satisfying, you know, and unanimously almost agreed upon to be one of like the greatest action movies or movies of the last like, you know, 20 years. How do you follow that up? You know, it's like, and so that brings us to Furiosa. And so just off the bat, Morgan, what were what's your like general impression of Furiosa, like after you watched it?
Immediate thoughts after watching Furiosa. One, it was still so beautiful. We watched it in such a nice theater too. I think we saw it in IMAX. Loved that. It was definitely worth it. Story definitely was a little lackluster. I do think though, like I've been reading on Twitter that there was a lot of stuff that like I probably just didn't understand because I don't like know the lore. So I will give it the benefit of the doubt that there was probably more than I picked up on. But again, it's just cool. It was so cool. Definitely a little long, but so cool. What did you think?
I agree with pretty much all of what you said. Like, it was the longest Mad Max movie I saw online, definitely longer than Fury Road. Maybe a little too long, but I appreciated a lot of the individual scenes. I thought it was very good. I don't think it was exceptional in the way that Fury Road was. And maybe it's not fair to compare it to Fury Road because I feel like it's trying to do a different thing.
Of course,
A lot of it did kind of go over my head, too.
I did, like, the moment it ended, I was like, that obviously wasn't as good as Fury Road, but I do think this made Fury Road even better, somehow. I
totally agree. And so I know from some research that I've been doing, and I heard this on another podcast, so a podcast I like reviewed Furiosa, and they brought on to their review the author of the like book about the making of Fury Road.
Gotcha.
And so he was supplying a lot of information. Like they actually wrote the script for Furiosa originally before Fury Road, 'cause it's a prequel. And so when Charlize Theron is acting in Fury Road, she knows all of the stuff that's happening in Furiosa and is using this to inform her performance. And I feel like, again, like there's so many little moments that make Fury Road that much deeper and better because of how it like expands on all the stuff in Fury Road. And so it is like a great addition to that story, but it is a very different kind of story than Fury Road. And it's a lot more slow, a lot more methodical. I don't know, so let's I guess we could talk about sort of the way the story progresses, because it's in like 5 chapters, which is also different than Fury Road. What did you think about that?
I liked it for a prequel, because I felt like what this movie did was set up a lot of things, which is like what a prequel does. And maybe to its own downfall, but to the betterment of Fury Road. And it was definitely slow, and there were parts when I was like, chapter 3, like we're still going, like, and it's still not. She's still not an adult.
Yeah. Yes.
You know? Which I know is a wide. A lot of people were like, why were we in her childhood so long?
Yeah.
But I think like so many of the moments were so good. I just wish they like happened a little quicker.
Yeah.
But I also like was trying to think of like what would I have taken out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, because I really liked all of it. It just maybe was not like the expectation. It's more of a story, more about like a character than Fury Road is. Fury Road's definitely like a world and huge like fighting. And for the first half of Furiosa, you're just stuck with her and like getting her story and her interactions with people. So it did something very different. And maybe it's like just the expectation. Like if I would have gone in with those expectations, I might have liked it more.
Yeah.
But I do think it was still a little bit long.
Yeah, I think that's fair. When I was watching it, I was really engaged in all of the like individual sections, but it definitely was not. It didn't necessarily feel like a complete story, because it was kind of like, here's one segment of Furiosa's life, and then we cut forward. Here's like another segment, and the flow between them is not like the clearest always, and so it's kind of like they're like these contained, like almost like anthology of like different events that made her into the person that she is by the time you get to Fury Road, which is one continuous story. And so it's like cool. It's just such a different kind of story. And I liked so like the first one is all about her as a kid when she's like first taken away from the green place, the people, the people to which she belongs, that she's trying to get back to in Fury Road. And so I feel like Furiosa like sets up like, okay, the movie Furiosa sets up that the character Furiosa wants to get back there. But we know that that's something that happens in Fury Road, so they kind of have to set up like another conflict for her to solve, for there to be emotional catharsis at the end of this movie, and that comes in the form of the Chris Hemsworth character.
Yes.
Dr. Dementis, the Red Dementis, he had a bunch of names. Dementis. So what did you think of Chris Hemsworth in this movie?
I still don't know. I think I loved his character. I don't know if Chris Hemsworth was like the one for that character. I know it's controversial.
Yeah, that is controversial.
But I did really, really like him in that role. And it was, I think, I don't know. Part of that character I like loved, because like he's crazy and he's like a comical evil character. Like everything he does is bad. He has like a little bit of motivation, and he is the coolest looking character, I think, maybe in the whole series. I love his little like cape thing, and then like the colors changing, and his like silly little goggles and his messed up teeth. Like his look and his actions were awesome.
His accent was insane.
So good, yeah. But I think maybe I just didn't love like his interactions with Furiosa. Like and maybe this is just me, I wanted him to be more like, I wanted him to truly be like, oh, like a father figure, and then like turn.
Interesting.
And I wanted it to be more of like a motivation of like he did like really just want to like save a girl, and like maybe a little bit for his own intentions, but he was just like crazy and evil the whole time. He had almost no like positive anything. So I think it would have been cool. I really liked him in the last half, but in the first half it was like he's just a bad person. But it was also really cool and a really cool motivation, and that leading up to the ending I think was absolutely incredible. We can talk more about that scene later, because I think it was so good.
I agree. I think that they do a lot of like the legwork to make that, because they can't have the catharsis of her going back home. So they need something else, and so they spend a lot of time. Like the first hour of the movie doesn't even have Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. It's another actress playing young Furiosa, and so it's really like the Chris Hemsworth show for the first like 45 minutes of the movie. Because the first segment is Furiosa's mom trying to hunt down Furiosa and get her back from Dementis. And which is really like, I thought it was a very different kind of Mad Max scene too, like the like slow motorcycle chase. But it was really intense and gripping. It was really cool. And then you get to, like see Dementis and how he gets one over on Furiosa's mom and then kidnaps Furiosa, and is definitely much more malicious than a father figure. But you see like his goofy evil. And then the second segment is like Dementis tries to take over where the water is from
Yeah.
Fury Road with the Immortan Joe, the guy with the big skull thing. And that to me was like probably the weakest part of the movie, was the slowest segment. I was kind of checked out during that part. But Chris Hemsworth, I think they do a lot in those two segments to set up Chris Hemsworth's character, so that when he leaves the movie for a little while and Anya Taylor-Joy comes in and takes over, when he comes back, it feels very emotionally fulfilling.
For sure.
So while the parts of the movie at the beginning were like kind of slow, I think it like made the emotional catharsis at the end that much better.
Yeah.
But it definitely like tested my patience more than I expected for a movie like this. Then after those first two sections, which is like 45 minutes to an hour of the movie that's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long, we jump forward way in time to the third section, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like giving us, that was the first time in this movie where I felt like we were getting the Fury Road stuff. So I don't know, just want to kind of talk through the third section. What are like some of your thoughts?
That's when, let me just remember what happened. That's when Furiosa is...
She's like on the oil rig, but she's like stowing away on the bottom. And then the guy with the black hair, who has like the oil over his forehead, the look that she takes on later. Yeah. What was his name?
I can't remember.
I'm gonna look it up because he had a cool name.
I loved him. He was so like, man, I don't know. He was very much like just another version of the guy in Fury Road. But
of
like,
Mad Max. Praetorian Jack is his name.
Yes.
The actor's name Tom Burke.
Great.
Who he was in the movie Mank, playing Orson Welles. If that means anything to anyone. According to Letterboxd, it's the only thing I've seen him in.
Their relationship was so well written.
Yeah.
I think
I
like
agree.
it progresses so well. It's like really slow, and they kind of like butt heads a little bit, and it's out of necessity, and then they like grow and grow and grow, and I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, and the way, so in the third section, like Furiosa stows away on the bottom of like an oil transport that Jack is driving, and some of Dementus's like goons from Gastown start like attacking them from the air.
Oh my gosh. With the paragliders.
Yes.
It was so funny.
It was so funny. It was so creative and cool. This was like,
So good.
this section was the most like Fury Road.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I was, and so I like really locked back in here. This is what I wanted to see from this movie. Was more of the Fury Road stuff. And so this really like locked me in. And then I think from here I stayed engaged pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah.
But like in this section, like Chris Hemsworth is not there. Anya Taylor-Joy takes center stage as Furiosa because like the rig, the oil rig that they're driving is like being slowly like attacked and dismantled by Dementus's goons. And Chris Hemsworth is not yet in this at all. So we're just like his presence is felt, but like he's not there. And so we get to see Furiosa like creatively solving all of the problems that are caused by Dementus's boys without anyone even knowing Furiosa is there. 'Cause she's not supposed to be on the rig.
Yeah, it was so funny.
It was really funny,
Really
yes.
good.
And it and like so when her relationship kind of with Jack starts, like when he realizes that she's there and that she's solving the problems, like it's communicated entirely through like glances and like nods. Like they say maybe like 2 words to each other, but they like they start to build this trust as he like sees how capable she is. She's fixing the things, he'll like nod to something and then she'll go fix it. And then the whole while, like he's trying to drive and avoid the people who are attacking them. And I just like, this is just so cool. This like activated the part of my brain. I was like, this is so sick.
And then she just ends up taking out like absolutely everybody at the end. It's so good.
She goes off. And so this is when Anya Taylor-Joy really takes over from Charlize Theron. What did you think of her performance in the movie?
Oh, I thought she was incredible.
Yeah.
The entire time, like every single thing she did. I feel like she's a wonderful face actor. I don't know if I've ever seen her do so much physical work.
Yeah.
And I thought she did so good. Like the way she, especially whenever she was still in the whatever the place with like the waterfalls and the angry looking guy is.
I don't remember what they call it. The water place.
Yeah.
There's the water place. There's Gastown. There's the bullet farm.
Yeah, they have the most ridiculous names too.
It's so weird. I love it.
But when she's there and she's pretending to be just like one of the like slave boys that works on things, and there's like that great scene where she has to like take over and she like jumps in and she's like pretending to be mute. I don't know, just like that whole time there was like no words. She was doing all like physical stuff, just like becoming a badass woman. And like you could see all those little things that she was doing come to life in that scene where she's trying to get away. And it was just like, it was so full circle. It was so great.
It was so well communicated. I agree with everything you said. Yeah. Like watching her transform without saying any words, it communicates everything so well. This is like what I think Furiosa does, is like communicates all of its story just through like body language and like action. Yeah. And so they killed it here. This was like the best scene of the movie. And it ends with Jack being like, all right, I will train you. You will like be my like, you know, apprentice basically. And then you just get like a cool montage of just how life in that town works, and that was amazing to see. It just like brought so many little things. I was like, how does that work? Like in Fury Road, they like showed it in Furiosa, and I loved that. And again, like that's it, like making Fury Road a much like richer and deeper movie. Yeah. And I actually had a debate with Jared, again, shout out Jared, about whether or not we thought their relationship was platonic or romantic. Oh. Because I very much read it as like a platonic relationship. No. I thought it was like so romantic. That's what Jared said. Literally, the scene when they're on the rock, and she's like showing him the seed that she had. That's like beyond romantic. Okay, well. And she like decided to take him with her, and she went back for him. 100% romantic. The thing that like starts off the whole movie is Furiosa, like her mom sets her free from Dementis, because Dementis has like got one over. He's captured the mom, but she can go free. And Furiosa decides, I'm going to go back for my mom. Yeah. And that sets her off on this path where she has to like, you know, shave her head and pretend to be one of like the oil boys or whatever, and then, you know, all of these things happen. And then in the fourth section we can get to, where like they go to Gastown to try to like, because they've like, we skip forward in time, and it's like, okay, Furiosa, your training is done, go escape to your home. And then she's like, I want to bring you with me. Which I guess, I don't know, maybe it was romantic. I kind of didn't read it that way watching the movie. I've seen a lot of debate about this on like Twitter and stuff, whether or not they were romantic or platonic. So if you saw the movie, you'll know what you think. But it's not super relevant, but it is. But I do think it's interesting that's like, when Furiosa cares about someone, she goes back. Like, she is the kind of person who, like, we see her do it twice. Like, she goes back for the person she cares about. And she has this wonderful back and forth of, like, she does these heroic acts that a good person does, but she also is so jaded and so ruined by all of these stories that you've seen before, that she does good things but withholding nothing back. Yeah. And so she's, like, murdering everyone, like, doing everything that she can to get out of there. And then it takes like one person, and you see the complete opposite side of her, which that whole scene just completely went back and forth on, where she's like worried about herself, she's getting rid of other people, she's just trying to get the thing going, and then you have these like interactions that you said, like only with facial expressions between them two, that is showing this other side of her, and like the little bit of hope that she continues to have despite everything that she's been through. Oh. Yeah. Mad Max is such a brutal world. Like, you kind of, like, I don't know. I'm sure the other movies really showed it in this one. Even more, I thought. Like, it is like, you know, there's no water. Like the evil Titan has a, like, monopoly on the water. And, you know, then there's gas and there's bullets. And so the world exists where people are just riding around on, like, old cars and old motorcycles, surviving off of gas, limited food, limited water. Like, it's a wasteland. It's total that's what they call it, the wasteland, right? And so it's like, you watch like how can someone continue to be good in this world is a really cool question that I think the movie kind of asks. And that's why I think it's so interesting that they compare her, who like kind of remains good maybe because of her mom and her like heritage, her relationship with this guy. Like, these are like pieces of hope. She like she has the pit from her, like the green place she was from, like, so she could plant a tree so there could be hope for green things in the world again. Of which there is basically none. It's all sand, like Dune. And so it's like, it's and which I think is what makes it so much more interesting when in the fourth section They go to try to like steal gas from Gastown, which is being run now by Dementis.
Yes.
And they have the confrontation finally, where it's like Dementis kind of gets one over on them. They're forced to like go on the run, leave their rig. They think they're going to escape.
Yeah.
Dementis manages to capture, like, you know, they manage to like barely get away, but Dementis is going after them. He captures them. He kills Jack. He hangs Furiosa up on her arm.
Yeah.
Which, you know, how she gets her
They
robotic
never
arm.
showed him dying. He just
Jack?
was drug around for a long time.
I guess that's true. But
I was so hoping. I was like, they didn't actually kill him. They're gonna come back. And I was like, literally, I know what happens, but I just wanted to happen so bad.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, I had a little bit too much hope for their relationship. But yeah.
Couples costume for you and Jacob this Halloween?
Yes, absolutely. I'll shave my head again just for that.
Yeah. So then, yeah, it's like this all like builds, like watching like kind of the hope that she had, like the peach pit. She had a map of how to get back to her home tattooed on her arm, which her arm gets cut off. Well, what happened as they're trying to escape from Dementis's guys after they lose the fight in Gastown, we see her arm get like squished, and it's like a 2-second scene, but like the sound editing where like they play with the sound,
it was rough.
It is rough. Like you cringe. I'm cringing just thinking about it, you know. And so we have like her, and then so her and Jack like fight in Gastown. They fight basically to save each other. They escape. Dementis catches up, takes them over, takes them prisoner. Presumably kills Jack, hangs up Furiosa by her arm that has the map.
Yeah. Oh, that was so rough.
Her arm, which has already like been squished, now she's hanging like dangling from the arm.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And Chris Hemsworth is like very convincingly evil to me in all these scenes. And so we're like contrasting like this guy who has taken all of the hope that Furiosa had and like now like taken it one more time, right? He like because she has gone back for somebody and he has killed them.
Double down.
He has doubled down everything. And so it's really brutal. It's like very moving. I thought very convincing emotionally, and she ends up losing the arm, and so she has to go back to the water place, find like a robotic arm. She shaves her head, and that sets us up for the final act of the movie, part 5. And so part 5, we have the thing that's like being built towards, you know, we had a lot of time with Chris Hemsworth at the beginning to set him up, and then we've just had 2 sections where Anya Taylor-Joy is really carrying the movie, and so now it's like the 2 leads of the movie are like pitted against each other in this like ultimate climax, which I thought was so good. Like
so good. Just the words that they said, the dialogue in that scene, I think like really pushed home the hope versus no hope. And oh my gosh,
because like Furiosa
so
manages
empty.
to like, it's a really good chase scene too, where like she is like a woman possessed. She is going for vengeance. She's like, you took me from my home, you killed my mom, you killed my boy. However you read that relationship, she wants like vengeance against this guy who has taken everything from her. And she's had to like, you know, compromise a lot of her morals. She's teamed up with like the evil like guy who has control of the water. You know, like she's like changed so much as a person, and she's like, I want my childhood back, I want my mom back, like from you, and you took all these things from me. And so she is possessed to go after him, and like like the chase scene where like he switches places with the guy and like she goes after him. It is so intense and fun and exciting and creative and like so cool to watch. And then when she eventually catches up with him, it feels so cathartic. And then it launches into the dialogue scene you were talking about.
Yes, it's just like empty wasteland. There's nothing in sight behind them. It's just them 2 in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, I was like, what are they gonna do here? Like, there's so many ways that we could take this, because like, if she just takes like full out revenge and like murders him and like abuse, like then it's kind of like ruins this like hopeful tone that she has.
Yeah.
But also like he's been so crazy the whole time, like he's just gonna die crazy. And I was like, I just don't know like how they're going to end this. And the dialogue between both of them kind of like understanding each other in a way, where she's just like give me this back, and he's like, I can't give it to you, like it was also taken from me. Like, that's just the world that we live in. And she's still, like, upset about the wrong things that have happened to her. And he's so far gone. He barely remembers it even happening. And it's just like that's what happens.
It's like he is a person who, like, she could easily become, you know?
Absolutely.
He's completely given up on everything. He's gone fully into this, like, chaotic, evil mode. The wasteland's driven him crazy.
She was raised around him, like, her whole childhood. Like, it'd be so easy,
Yeah. And so I think it's so interesting that's, like, they compared the two of them here, where he's like screaming at them when he kidnaps them in this section before. It's like, there is no hope. Like, what do you think? Where do you think we are, basically? And then he captures her, and he's like, you're still hanging on to hope? Like, don't you know, like, there's nothing out here for you? Like, all you can really do is, like, become crazy like I am, because we live in a messed up world, and that's, like, your only option.
Yeah. And you see the internal struggle in her of, like, how am I going to get the revenge that I need? Like, what is going to be enough to make up for what happened? And I think it was just so beautiful and so poetic that it, like, I don't think it shows it, right? It's like,
it's kind of
in
like
silhouette almost.
Yeah.
And then it's just her walking away, and there's a narrator, and it just says, like people want to say that she did all of these terrible things and got her revenge, and then it's like, but she just shot him.
Yeah, they
and
almost
like,
make it like this, like, mythical, like, folk tale to it. And it's crazy because, like, the whole movie is communicating all of its story and all of its, like, stuff through, like, through body language and face acting. And this is, like, the only scene in the movie that it's dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
And it's, like, these two actors just, like, kind of going back and forth, probably the most dialogue from any Mad Max movie, I would guess. And it sets up the whole conflict where it's like, okay, so, like, what does justice look like in a world that has gone completely insane?
Oh, yeah.
And so then it's like, they take it and it's like, okay, well, I love the Chris Hemsworth line where he's like, do you have it, like, I know you're going to get your revenge, but, like, do you have it in you to make it epic? He's like challenging her. It's like, I know you have to get revenge, but, like, because our world is so crazy, you have to do something awesome.
Yeah.
You know, he knows his numbers up with her.
Which kind of sets the precedent for the whole film of, like, they're so desperate, and yet they spend all their time, like, making these insane cars and just, like, running around.
It's so wild.
And the like guitar guy in Fury Road.
I love that guy. Yes.
It's like it's just unnecessary, but it's just so, like, far gone. It's like, what else are we gonna do? And, like, just make it epic. Like, everything else sucks. Like, here's one thing we can do.
And I love how it's like they don't, like, definitively tell us what she did.
Yeah.
But they, like, say, like she shot him, or, like, they leave it kind of in vague shadows. But then, like, one of the last shots they end on is, like, Dementis' like decrepit body, and, like, in his stomach, the peach pit or whatever she's had the entire time is, like, planted, like, coming from him. She's, like, turned him into this tree, into this, like, constant reminder of where she comes from.
You know what's crazy? I did not realize that was Dementis. I thought...
Oh, maybe? I thought it was.
I thought that was just some person. I was honestly really confused with that shot, but it being him makes so much more sense.
I thought it was supposed to, like, be him. Because it was, like, because the narrator is kind of like, you know, it's like, they say that she shot him, or they say that she does terrible things to him, but he's like, but only I know what really happened.
Yeah.
And so even then, they kind of imply, like, maybe, like, they kind of leave it up to your imagination, which I liked. But the last shot was like, the way it's set up, it's like, this is probably what happened, but it's kind of like a folktale. Like, you know, everyone says she did all these crazy things to him. Maybe the best revenge was just, like, forcing him to live forever as this, like, reminder of what, like, he took from her. You know, like, so if she got her revenge in that way, like, it doesn't seem very grand or epic in a way Dementis would think, because he's very, like, Dementis is a guy, you know, he wants to see stuff explode and, like, crazy car things, and when he is gonna die, he's like, I want to die a crazy, epic, awesome death. And she's like, no, you're gonna die a slow death while you, like, produce fruit for me, basically, as, like, a constant reminder of what you took from me. And they sort of leave it saying that's the ending, and then it leads right up to her taking the wives away from Immortan Joe, like, leading right into Fury Road.
Oh yeah, which was awesome. It made me want to go watch Fury Road.
Yeah, same.
I probably will, honestly, this week.
But it was like I thought it was just so good how they laid everything out like that, and then set up, like, the emotional catharsis of, like, she does get her revenge on Dementis, and then that leads her to be like, now I'm finally going to go home.
Yeah.
And also like that reminder of home that she's been carrying on for this entire time is like still gets to come to fruition, maybe not in the way that she wanted.
Yeah.
So I
amazing.
So I feel like we've said a lot of like glowing things about the movie, but at the beginning we were both kind of like, yeah, it was kind of long and it was good. It was good for your road. So I don't know, where do you like ultimately land on the movie as a whole?
I think I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I think there were a lot of like, for how beautiful it was overall, just because of the world that it's in, there was a lot of like really ugly VFX that I saw. There were like
seen a lot of people complaining about that,
where I was like, this is so obviously green screen that like I don't know how I made it in the movie. And
as a professional VFX artist,
it was definitely like made up for in a lot of other ways, but there were just little ones that I was like, oh, did we really need that? Like, this movie's already so long, and you put in this one shot that just like really kind of took me out of it. But it was very beautiful, and I do think if I watched it again, I would probably watch it in 2 parts. Like, I'd watch the first half, and then I would like take a day, and then I would watch the second half, or I would just skip straight to the second half and watch that.
Because the first half is like, it's necessary to set up all the stuff about Dementis. And like, it kind of gives you a little bit of character for Furiosa's backstory, but at the same time, it definitely was slow. I feel like this movie took a long time to get going, and then once it got going, I was like really into it. I thought Chris Hemsworth was really, really good. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was really good. I loved how the story like coalesced, even though I didn't necessarily love how long it took and all the different parts that it took to get there. So I think I give it 4. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. I like am very positive on it. It's probably I think it's one of my favorite movies of the year. But when you compare it to Fury Road, it's like it can't hold a candle. It's just such a different kind of movie though, so I feel like it's not a super fair comparison. So I don't know. I kind of am like positive, but not like overwhelmingly so.
2 silly questions that we can end on. First, if someone has never seen any of the movies and they asked you what order to watch them in, would you tell them to watch Fury Road first or Furiosa first? And second, if you were on the little team, where would you want to be at on the car? Because I've debated about this so much, about which position is like most likely to survive.
Oh man.
And I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I would say watch Fury Road first. Because it's such a good story on its own. I think it's cool knowing that like the director George Miller wrote all of Furiosa and like gave that material to Charlize Theron, so that when she's acting in Fury Road and giving like an amazing performance, she has all this backstory behind her. And so it's almost like then you watch Furiosa and it like explains all the things.
So I was thinking the opposite of like, I think the beginning of Furiosa would have been much more interesting if I didn't already know the world and know where it was ending. And I think knowing all of her backstory, I rewatched the ending of Fury Road today, just bawled my eyes out, like knowing everything that she had gone through. So I was like, I don't know, I think I would tell someone to watch Furiosa and then watch Fury Road. But
I don't know. I feel like I would say like watch Furiosa, then rewatch Fury Road.
Like, that's the perfect way to do it.
It's like, because like Fury Road is just so good. That's like a 5-star movie to me. So it's like you never, but. Yeah, and then if I was going to be on the oil rig, driving across the streets in the desert, I want to be the driver. I feel like, I don't know.
So let me tell you why it's a bad idea to be the driver.
What? No.
Everyone is going after you. Everyone's trying to protect you because you're driving, but also you are the #1 target on that thing.
But surely other people can drive. Like, they can't be that important.
They can, but they're going to take out the driver first.
I guess you're right. But also, if you're the driver, you're the most protected because you're in the cab. You have like the glass windows usually. Like you have all these dudes trying to keep you safe. I don't know. It's like the driver's got a pretty good chance of survival, especially if you're like a capable driver who like can keep your cool. You know.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm like really the best driver, but I feel like my driving style would fit very well actually in the wasteland. I think I would probably kill it there. It would be great.
Amazing. I think best position is in one of the sidecars as like someone on the back. I think if I could,
You're the first to go.
I
You're the
know,
easiest
but it
target.
would be the most fun. I think the best. I think one of my favorite, maybe the paragliders, but number 2 in Fury Road, the guys who are on the poles that go like.
Yes.
I want to be one of those guys.
That's awesome. Okay, let us know what position you would want to be in.
Yes.
If you were in the Mad Max world.
Incredible.
Thank you so much for watching, listening, all of the things.
Yeah.
Please, like, follow, subscribe, leave us reviews, comment, tell us what you thought of Furiosa, what position you'd want on a Mad Max like war oil rig. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys again in 2 weeks for a new episode.
Bye.